Hello and welcome to a brand new Five Heart podcast live on YouTube, Facebook, and X. I'm your host, Greg Mahochko. This is the co-host, Minnie Hunt. Minnie, good evening. Hello, welcome. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm official, guys. I got a promotion. Watch out.
Yeah. Everything that you have all feared is now a reality because John Dam Johnston, our founder, our fearless leader in his infinite wisdom, made Minnie or gave Minnie administrative authority on StreamYard. So if I get kicked off, just know it's not my fault. Okay.
Or if
It's like
I mute you.
it's like if you don't hear from me in a half hour, send the police. It's kind of like that. I mean, it's this is gonna be no, it's gonna be fine. Hello, welcome everybody. See, Melissa is here. Hello, everyone. Hello, Melissa. Aaron 1.5 is here. Good evening, all indeed. Mr. Matney, living in Omaha, David Matney, the official realtor of the Five Heart Podcast, is in the house and can put you in a house in the Omaha area. So make sure you check out that channel. And Mr. Matney, get me a koozie, coolie, whatever, so that I can properly dress the official beer of the Five Heart Podcast, Yingling. In
First
the
one.
appropriate, I'm down to my last two.
Oh no.
So, down to my last two. I would say they're in the fridge, but one I just cracked. The other one is in the cooler next to me. That being said, Minnie, and I warned you, I've got a lot of visuals for tonight's show. So
Yes.
this is just a taste. I'm working on something. I'm gonna have a lot. Gonna get my creative juices flowing this weekend. But here's what we have. That's right.
Ooh.
That's right. Am I really down to two? No. I've got a brand new case of delicious Yingling lager. So
that is probably not what they would prefer as an advertisement with the swing set in the background.
it's fine. It's fine.
Okay.
I'm sorry. People can't have kids who enjoy a fine beverage. I mean,
I'm just saying it might seem like you're trying to go after kids with that advertisement. It's like that's what it kind of seems like.
Oh.
No?
Fine. When I redo it this weekend, I'll make sure it's just the grill. There's nothing child at all. Anyway, Fred says, I'd say John's wisdom is quite finite. It says that boombox on your shoulder, Greg into the electric boogaloo. Thank you very much. Now, we already have quite the interesting start to the conversation, Minnie, because we teased it in the write-up in the, hey, we're going to get you in the door. Come on, see what we're all about tonight. We're going to jump right to those bastards to the west in Colorado. Yes, ma'am.
I'm not so sure that I would be calling them names on here.
That's fine. I don't care.
I know.
Is it because they've won?
No, it's no. Who do you mean?
Colorado.
What are we talking? What do you mean they won? Oh, they beat us?
They won the last few meetings, yeah.
Yeah, no, I forgot about that.
Okay.
I think that what I called them is actually a lot nicer.
Well, pin a rose on your nose.
I called them the Kardashians of college football.
Why do you call them the Kardashians of college football? Because I don't know much about the Kardashians.
Well, it seems like the Kardashians are basically talentless people who care about looking good.
Okay. All sizzle, no steak.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's what I dubbed them.
Well, we will definitely continue this Colorado conversation, but Mr. Matney, living in Omaha, David Matney, the official realtor of the Five Heart Podcast,
Oh my gosh.
5 Corn Nation memberships. Now, I don't know what that means. Like, I don't know how you claim these Corn Nation memberships, but if it's first come, first serve, get on over there and get them. And
You have to have a setting on your YouTube channel that allows you to receive gifts.
oh, okay.
And then you click on it in the comments and it will give you a membership.
Well, that's
So
awesome.
thank you.
Thank you, David. And let's see. Fred says Minnie stir of propaganda strikes early. And Roger Moore says that case of Yingling would bring some serious money at the spring game. We will definitely talk about the spring game. It's going to be in the latter half of the show. Stay tuned. We got a lot of fun. Let's see. Roger Moore says, don't fear Colorado. In fact, Roger got us going all the way back at 8:34 this evening when Roger said Colorado will soon have more transfers than starters.
No.
And Fred says Colorado has more transfers than fans. And not to be outdone, Mr. James Boardman says Deion Sanders has more toes than returning players.
Oh my gosh.
And
all of these might be true, actually.
The only thing that I could think as I was reading these comments, especially the first one there from Mr. Moore, this was my immediate reaction. For those of you who are just entertaining or enjoying the audio version of this on your favorite podcast app, which would likely be Apple Podcasts or Stitcher, Podbean, Spotify, Google Plays no more. This is a GIF of Montgomery Burns doing the excellent. So there you go. I feel bad that I have to explain it, but not everybody watches us, obviously. So.
All right.
And people are telling me how the membership works. I appreciate that. So they said Aaron 1.5 says YouTube usually randomly awards them. Vince doubles down and says it gives them out randomly. So if you were a recipient of a Corn Nation membership from living in Omaha, David Matney, maybe you need to seek out Mr. Matney for your next home in the Omaha area. So
I wonder did you guys get a look at Matt Rule's loft in Lincoln on Bussin' with the Boys?
I did not.
That is what I'm talking about. Exposed brick, beautiful, high windows. Like the kitchen is gorgeous. They have like this walk-in wine fridge. It's amazing. Swanky.
That's what James Boardman says. Swanky. It's fancy.
Yeah.
I did not see that. What's your stance on loft type dwellings?
Oh, you need one. That's what I'm talking about. In Lincoln,
I need one.
Everyone needs one. Everyone needs one.
I can't help but think every time I think of like loft apartment, I think of the classic 1980s Tom Hanks movie Big, because when he finally gets the job and he's got like every kid's paradise with the trampoline and the arcades and whatnot, that's a loft. That's what I mentally attune a loft apartment to be. So
it's a good one.
So Aaron 1.5 says, are we talking about interior decorating? Yeah, it's the off season. There's literally nothing else to talk about. So we've gone to, sidebar. This is important because it's very much on topic. I received this from a listener this week. It's an ad on Facebook, and it says, say no to boring boob lights from Tiny Pop-Up Shop. Buy 2, get 1 free. So I actually had my son, as I was putting the show together, I said, hey, open up the laundry room door, which is where we have one of these illustrious, I can't point in the right, there we go. That looks worse than it's supposed to be. We have one in the laundry room. I said, all right, you see that light fixture? Yeah. I said, okay, go around the house, count them all. And he said, we have 5. So
5.
we have this one. We have one right over the front door. We have the laundry room. I believe we have 2 in the hallway upstairs. So I could essentially buy 4 and get 2 free. So
that sounds kind of asymmetrical.
well, it's no worse than the alien from Total Recall. Let's see. Melissa wants to know if we're doing an after show after the game.
Oof.
I don't believe so.
Darn it.
Oh, okay. Apparently, well, it's still technically the off season, and I think I'm gonna try to go do something with my family during the day because I've been working a lot.
Okay.
So I think we're gonna go across the river to St. Louis and do something as a family. It's supposed to be nice. So I'll watch it later, and I believe now that we're going to be after this weekend in the post spring game era, Haas Reuter and I are going to go back and reflect and review with a better frame of mind all of the games of last year, the 5-7 season. So stay tuned for that.
Okay.
Back to Colorado. I've heard this, and I think we addressed it previously on the show, but Coach Prime is not. He's basically making the players all go to Boulder. If he's not doing any home visits, school visits.
You're right.
He's making them all go to Boulder, which is unfortunate because that means they got to travel to Colorado.
Well, yeah. And apparently one of his kids pulled out their cell phone the other night and goes, check this out. Whenever somebody wants to come to Colorado, they just send me a message. I think it was Shador. He's like, they send me a message for offense, and then they send my brother a message for defense. And I'm thinking, what? Could you imagine 2 players in charge of recruiting?
I just feel
how
like
would that work?
Look, I mean, I guess from a this is where I think it gets tricky, especially during the season, and especially with players who are already on other campuses, because they can reach out to a player, not necessarily a coach. Like everything run through the player. I think it allows them maybe to skirt a lot of the. I guess in other industries would be like contract tampering, things like that. But if it's player to player, they can gauge interest. They can, here's what the.
I mean, there's hardly any rules anymore.
So I understand that. I understand, which we'll get to when we talk about Reggie Bush here in a few minutes. But all this kind of came to a head earlier this week. Let's see. When it was announced that Colorado running back Dylan Edwards was entering the transfer portal. He was a 4-star recruit in the class of 2020, so a year ago. And so realistically started as a true freshman in the first game of the year last year against TCU, had 4 touchdowns in that opening game, didn't do a whole lot after that. And, from the more cynical standpoint, it was a lot of like a shift in the mindset. They wanted to get, run the offense more through Shador Sanders, but, impressive start to your collegiate career. It just didn't, I saw somewhere, because I followed this moderately closely, but some of the sites and sources were calling him a Colorado star, but he only had like 400 yards on the season. It's just most of them came in that one game against the Horned Frogs.
Yep. I mean, he looked pretty good against us.
Well, that was early in the season. We improved. Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, we had a better record than they did, so suck it, Colorado.
They've had 27 players enter the transfer portal.
And Nebraska has, and I'm not of the belief that Nebraska won't have more after the spring game, but I think 3, maybe a very low number.
Corey Collier and I wasn't prepared for this.
Chubba Purdy.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like that was a lifetime ago.
Yeah. And one other. I can't remember his name, and I should. I want to say Eric Fields or something like that.
I don't know.
Sound familiar?
He's not a Husker anymore, so it doesn't matter.
Eric Fields. I was right. Okay.
Aaron won. Eric Fields. Aaron Rustov.
Aaron. Mm-hmm.
So, we'll have more from Aaron later in the show, and we're going to be joined by another Coronation contributor about 15 or so minutes to talk about the draft, which means we probably need to. In our quick pre-production meeting here, I said, I don't know. I don't think we have a whole lot to talk about with Colorado and with our next topic. So might have to shuffle things around, but I feel like Minnie, we're pretty well on target because I like to talk and go off topic.
You do.
Oh, Josh Hansen says Jeff Sims. Yeah.
That's true.
What the hell that was. So thanks, Josh. Okay. Welcome back. We missed you, buddy.
Oh, he's back. He must be feeling better.
He is. The house is. And he's teaching his kiddo, right? His oldest, he's his 3-year-old daughter. They were all sitting down watching the 1989 Michael Keaton Batman earlier tonight. So,
Aww.
And she says that's her favorite. So, well done, Mr. Hansen. So, and we're not the only ones who missed Josh. So, shout out from Fred there. All right, moving on to, I guess. Section A, subsection B. Does Nebraska have their eye on Dylan Edwards? I saw a rumor today, like it was fake news. It actually came through the Slack chat room that Edwards had committed to Nebraska for like a $2.1 million NIL deal. That's Dylan Raiola money. I'm sorry, Raiola money. So that, that's false. Minnie, I'll ask your opinion on this. Is there room in the running back room?
I mean, it depends on what we see on Saturday, to be honest. I kind of expect a lot from Emmett Johnson, and he took the podium this week. He, said a lot of great things, but we're going to get to him later. I'm just really excited about him. Sounds like he has it all together now.
You just want to skip every other topic, don't you, and just go right to the talking about Saturday?
I do. It was really hard to put that at the end.
I know. And in my defense, and in throwing you under the bus, you're the one who decided we had to talk about our next topic, which is the Heisman Committee deciding to give Reggie Bush back his Heisman after they confiscated it for all the shenanigans that he partook of, I suppose. Basically boiled down to he received a lot of money from a lot of agents, all luring him to sign with them. And then I guess the general rule of thumb is you can do that, but you got to give it back. And if you don't sign with them, and he didn't give any of it back, which I believe still is a violation. But the Heisman Committee said, we'll reinstate this. Here's your trophy back.
I don't know how to put a comment up there, but I do want to say something about
which
Fred's
comment?
Last comment that I just starred.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And no, it's not okay to ignore the format. It's even more important.
Yeah, now the problem, Fred, is that if I go too far off the format, she can actually boot me out.
Except I don't know how. So.
Yeah. Which means she's going to be in here working and practicing throughout the next week, so that next Thursday when we do the show, she's like, out of here, Greg.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, okay. So the reason I really wanted to talk about this is because it took them 5 years to ask him for the Heisman back, right? He got it in 2005. They reclaimed it in 2010. And now in 2024, 14 years later, they're saying, hey, college football, our rules have changed. And here it is. It's accepted now to have money given to you. So here's the Heisman back. So it got me thinking about Michigan.
Oh,
and there's
that's not on
signs
the
stealing.
format at all.
It is too. You obviously did not read it.
I don't see. Oh, okay, never mind.
Section 2.
I hit the high notes. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. There we are. So, because we are now allowed to have, what's the word? Headsets in the helmets. Does that are the rules going to change about the signs on the side of the where are my words? I can't think. In other words, are we going to be like, okay, you know what? The sign stealing thing isn't a big deal now because the rules have changed.
So I think
They're
in
probably
my
not
opinion,
even going to be. Go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you.
No. Ladies first.
No. In your opinion, sign stealing.
I think sign stealing is a different animal than having the headset in your helmet. What Michigan did, or what Michigan was accused of, what the junior water boy was fired for doing, I think that takes it to a whole new level. Again, if you're going to steal, I mean, they always say everybody steals or cheats. I mean, just don't get caught. But they were pretty obvious about it, and I think what they were doing is just different from, headsets in the helmet. Headsets in the helmet is basically just to communicate, to the sideline. You're right, but I don't
to communicate the call, and that's the same thing as sign stealing. That's the call.
No, sign stealing. Again, my interpretation. I'm no expert. I'm just a jackass with a microphone and a podcast. But sign stealing is premeditated, going out, scouting in advance your opposition to, steal their signs. I mean, I know it's one of those, like, how can you define it without using the same wording? I'm sure I could if I had more time and wanted to get out a thesaurus. But at the end of the day, I think with the headsets in the helmet, that's just to convey a message from point A to point B without the advanced scouting that the sign stealing was symptomatic of. So,
okay. No, I agree with you completely. However, the NCAA is really slow to change their rules, as we've seen. So I'm just wondering if they have set a precedence now that, okay, hey, we changed this rule. Down the line, we're going to like, are there just, I was actually looking forward to hopefully seeing Michigan like get some sort of sanctions put against them.
No, forget it.
For the sign stealing. Why is that?
I don't know.
I feel like if it was us, if it was Nebraska, we'd be hung up and left out to dry. Like there's, so I don't know. That's why I have a problem with this.
James is right. He says NCAA is toothless. It's all bark, no bite. Cornhusker Corner back here. Welcome back. Says what they did arguably affected the integrity of the game. And Fred's right. Yeah, we're happy to see you as well again, Cornhusker Corner. Let's see. Cornhusker Corner, or CC, if I'm being lazy, says it's always stupid that they took away the Heisman because it's an award based on on-field performance. No matter what, he was a stud on the field and deserved the award. Michigan situation is different. So, and Fred also says,
I was going to say, don't read that.
I have to.
I just laughed.
Minnie saying we should sneak microphones into the helmets. Is this so she can sing Simply the Best to Dylan during the games?
Better than all the rest.
It's either that or, and I can't remember who. I know the song, I know the montage, I know the movie. I can't remember who sings the song, but You're the Best from Karate Kid. You're the best around. Nothing's gonna ever keep you down. That's the type of mid-third quarter pep that DR needs. So, Elise Anderson is watching us here from X and has some great questions. We're going to actually hold till later in the show. So at least make sure you stick around. And that's not just our way of keeping you here till the end of the show. It's just we have a format. And at least I don't know if you're new. Maybe you watch every week, but this is the first time you've asked a question. But if we don't stick to the format, then Minnie kicks me off my show. So, and I do say my show conceptually.
I was going to say
from the very beginning.
Do you think it could be changed to our show now?
Nope. No, it cannot. Let me put it this way. The only time it was our show was me and Brian Cole. May he rest in peace. And Haas earned it after a few years.
A few years. Has Haas ever put this much work into a show?
Nobody has ever put this much work into the show. Point. So, no, but thank you, Minnie, for all of the efforts.
I'm kidding. No, it's fine.
Right?
It's your show.
David Matney says, geez. By the way, if you're new to the show, David Matney, living in Omaha, David Matney, the official realtor of the 5 Heart podcast. He's in the house, and he can put you in a house in the greater Omaha metro area. And he still needs to send me a can thing for this because he's here with us every week. Yingling's here physically, but they're not here. You know what I mean?
I know.
David Matney's the man. All right. We don't have.
Should we take care of some housekeeping?
We're going to do a little bit of housekeeping, and then we will jump ahead ever so slightly as our lauded guest is here in the green room waiting. So let's knock out just a little bit of housekeeping. And the first thing, dare I say, the most. That's right. This is my show. There are many like it, but this one is mine. I would venture to say there are probably too many. There are probably too many Husker podcasts out there.
No such thing.
It depends. It depends. That's right. One day with admin rights, the StreamYard Mini is taking over like hell. I'll go down fighting. All right. So very quickly, very important to know. So many of you already do, but if you're watching on YouTube, make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe if you don't already. And if you do subscribe, ring that notification bell so that you're made aware of every time we drop new content or set up a new stream so that you're made aware of the Monday night show, the Tuesday night show, the 5 Heart podcast every Thursday, 9 o'clock Central, God's favorite time zone. And comment away. Everything for the algorithm. Everything for the algorithm.
Yes.
And if you're on X or Facebook, same thing. I don't
Come on over.
Yeah,
just
it's all
click away on YouTube.
It's all fine. I'm not going to read that one,
okay,
Fred. I don't understand that one.
What?
Oh, he's gone and he's back. Well, we've got more before we bring in our exceptional guest.
Yes.
We talked last week about a t-shirt idea. You remember the t-shirt idea?
We need a drum roll.
No, we don't.
This is a big reveal.
Because this is a rough draft. This is a fan submitted image.
This is an amazing image. If this is a rough draft, I want to see what he can actually do if he spent time on it. This is amazing.
I don't know who. This comes from Joe. Joe the watcher, Joe the viewer, the listener, who was making notes as we were talking about. I was describing this shirt, and in my 5 Heart of 5 Hearts, it's a joke that kind of mocks Minnie, right? Because you have a Husker out on the side of the corn, and he could be wearing number 1, he could be wearing number 15, I don't know. But in the stalks of the corn, you see, like peering out through, and a little bend in the corn, and it just in the black background, but you see 2 eyes like this, and like that, and we called it the corn stalker. Well, Joe sent me an email, sent John an email, probably somehow sent Minnie an email, maybe with this creation that he did. Now, again, I want to stress, we appreciate Joe. Joe's tremendous. All of you are. But we are submitting the official artwork concept to our art department to hopefully see it over on, I've forgotten, copycorn.com. Anyway, this is what Joe created for Cornstalker. Let me kill that image so that there we go. Cornstalker emerging through the field in 2024. That's a tremendous photo. Much better Photoshop skills than I could ever do.
I loved Memorial Stadium in the background.
Definitely
He
can't
added
put
that
that part
on
on
his
a
own.
t-shirt. Definitely couldn't put that on a t-shirt.
Okay.
We'd have to.
Darn.
We'd get a cease and desist pretty quickly.
Too bad.
Yeah.
But that's what I loved about it the most.
I know. Sorry to disappoint you. But Joe, if you're watching, if you're listening, well done. And he sent that to me last Friday, so he was on the ball very quickly. And he sent it. Look, I don't advertise my email address. He found me through my work and sent it to my work email. I said, "That's awesome. Send it over to my personal one." So,
well, I mean, he can put this together, so he's probably pretty talented with the computer, looking things up. He probably could out Google you, Greg. Just saying.
Challenge accepted. Aaron Rostovsky says, Eric, my favorite Martin. That's right. I'll never forget that. I will never forget that kick return or return cover team against Oklahoma State. I want to say that was maybe 07 or 08. Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong. Let's see. Fred says, nice. Glad Minnie didn't shame him for having the stadium in the background.
Shame? No.
Aaron says, mystery guest, is it me? If so, better get some pants. No, we don't need, whatever you do. Fred says, Minnie's windowless van Cornstalker. Not quite. Although, now that has me idea, like, what could we paint on the side of the panel van? Never mind. I don't want to finish that. We're going to move on.
Oh, boy.
So we are having, I shouldn't say we, our guest is having some technical difficulties, saying he's in the green room saying, I can't hear anything. So I'm eyes on you. And I feel bad because it's an important night for him and we're keeping him away from business. Let me get that out of there. Again, thank you very much, Joe, for your graphic. That was truly appreciated. Let's see. High-fived Martin as he carried the Heroes Trophy off the field at Iowa. That might be why he's your favorite. And there's Joe. Thank you for the compliments. Joe, thank you for your time and talents, sir. We appreciate you. All right. I don't know. I'm going to wait to bring in our guest until he gives me a thumbs up or some type of sign that he can hear us.
Okay.
And we will move on. I feel
Great.
real bad. Sorry. So
we have lots to talk about.
We do. It's all.
You getting your graphics ready?
I have lots of graphics. He says I can try it without the mic. I can let us know when he is unplugged. I think he's still working on it. So we'll move on. Let's talk a little bit about the transfer portal. I think that's where we're going next. Yes.
The transfer portal, 2024 transfer portal commits. Thus far, we've had 6 players added to the roster. Bly Hill, defensive back, Stephon Thompson, linebacker, Micah Mazuka, offensive lineman, Isaiah Nair, wide receiver, Jamal Banks, wide receiver, and Dante Dowdell, running back. And as of Tuesday, we added another guy who's coming from, drumroll, Montana. But he also came from Nebraska. I know, jazz hands.
That's not the first jazz hands we've seen from you tonight. So let's just make sure we don't.
I'm really excited, obviously.
It's a big week for you, I know.
I know. This is huge.
And what's his name? So I can click on the image and get the ball rolling?
Vince Genatone.
Look at that.
There he
Look at
is.
that beast of a man.
Oh, I love that. Oh. Yeah, that's linebacker from Montana. He has 3 years left, and they're also considering him for a running back position. They're going to start him out on defense.
Linebacker.
Yeah. And then possibly move him over to the running back position because he also has track experience.
Well, who doesn't really? That's kind of what I'm thinking, James. Is if they moved him to the offensive side, I think fullback. Melissa says, Minnie, you got the nerves going for Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, here's the thing. It can't be nerves, right? Because no matter what, Nebraska wins.
I mean, it is. Just because, I mean, there's been so much buildup to this point.
And Fred wants to know if I find Vince attractive. And I don't even know how to answer that question. I'm going to say no, but it's not personal. It's not him, it's me. Fred also says that you gushing over this 45. He's telling DR. Oh, my goodness. All right. Thank you. We have more portal news. In fact, at least for a minute, we're going to switch sports. But we finally have our guest ready to join us.
Yeah.
So it is with much excitement that we welcome to the show from cornnation.com and other places that he also writes for because he's that talented, Mr. Brian Johannes. Brian, what is going on, sir? How are you doing this evening?
Well, it's going good. Can you hear me?
Holy cow, yeah, I can.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. Everything was good, and then I bumped my computer, and I couldn't hear a thing. So I'm glad it's working.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. What is the good word on draft night?
Not a lot of trades. That was one of the things that we were projecting was there was going to be a lot of movement, and there's been barely any. I mean, a few slight picks, but, quarterback heavy, 6 quarterbacks going in the first 10, 11 picks. So I think first 10 picks. So that's got to be a record. And Atlanta taking a quarterback after paying Kirk Cousins like $2 billion over the course of 4 years was I still haven't gotten, I had heard that like 3-4 weeks ago, and I'm like, whatever. And then after the pick, I still haven't heard anyone say why. Like, everyone just talks about Penix as a player. They talk about Kirk Cousins, but they haven't said, like, what's Atlanta thinking? And I'm like, you've got this guy that you just signed big money to, and then I guess you're just going to sit your 8th overall pick on the bench for 3 years.
Well, no offense to Kirk Cousins. I'm not entirely sure that I trust him to be that good of a mentor. I feel like he's very streaky. When he's healthy, he parlayed a good season into a tremendous contract. Am I wrong on that assumption or that analysis?
He's been very good at playing the economic game of football. I mean, he's done a great job of getting these big contracts. And, I mean, all the power to him. It's a business. Economically speaking, it doesn't make any sense, especially when you're looking to go all in. You got a quarterback. The division's ripe for the taking, and you're chanced at 8 to take an elite player, and you take a backup. It just doesn't make sense to me. But that's why I'm sitting. That's why I'm sitting in my garage right now.
Not a lot of. Would you say that there have been a lot of surprises? I mean, as I look at the first 21 selections, I guess Eagles are on the clock unless they've made their pick since this refreshed. You mentioned the number of quarterbacks, but it's also a ton of linemen. Not a lot of, and a few receivers. Marvin Harrison Jr. comes to mind. Malik Neighbors from LSU, and Romy Odunze?
Roman Adunze.
Who's going to join Mr. Caleb Williams in Chicago.
Go Bears.
If you must, I guess. But it just doesn't seem, we talked about this last week. Brock Bowers, who was in the same recruiting class as Thomas Fidone, and Brock Bowers is a 13 overall pick in the draft from Georgia. So what could have been?
Still can be.
Got to stay healthy. But a lot of linemen and no running backs yet. Is it a bad running back class? Is it that teams are not prioritizing running backs because of I don't want to say the fragility, but the fact that, a bad tackle can wipe out a big contract?
It's a combination of both. It's not a strong running back class. There's no, last year we had Bijan Robinson go in the top 10. Jahmyr Gibbs is like 11th or 12th. They just don't have those guys this year. Jonathan Brooks from Texas is a guy that people said if he didn't get hurt, he could be a first-round pick. I don't know about that. The guy from there's another guy that I'm spacing on. I mean, it's just a couple guys, and I think it would have surprised me if there's no running back taken in the second round. It's just that there's not enough guys. The position, I don't want to say it's devalued, but you can get good running backs anywhere. I mean, Isaac Pacheco was a 7th-round pick for the Chiefs, and he's their star running back. So you can get running backs anywhere in the draft, and I think teams are like, we're not going to force the issue, and we'll get good value at some point. And plus, their average shelf life in the NFL isn't very long. So,
and it does seem like that's a shift in mentality from like 15 years ago when it was stock up on as many top tier. I remember Adrian Peterson, who, by the way, is coming off of like a broken clavicle or, something like that. And I'll never forget, he dove into the end zone for a touchdown, and that was the last game he played at Oklahoma. I think I've slept since then, but regardless, I was, they used to prior to Le'Veon Bell's and, it used to be a much higher priority for general managers at the next level.
I mean, it wasn't that long ago. We had a draft where like the top 5 picks was Ronnie Brown, Cadillac Williams, Cedric Benson. I mean, those guys were 3 of the 5 top picks, and now it's, quarterbacks, tackles. It's a passing league, so it's shifted, and the value of the draft has too.
And most of those guys, I mean, not to say they didn't pan out, but they weren't world beaters at the next level.
No.
So, well, I know what Minnie really wants to talk about are Huskers in the draft. And
I know.
Realistically,
pointless.
The likelihood that Marco Ortiz, the long snapper, is going to get drafted.
Yeah. Or Omar Brown.
I think Brown's got the best chance. You just kind of, there's certain things that tell us kind of how the NFL views prospects. Players invited to the combine. That's a big tell because they invite 300 some guys, and there's only 200 some picks. And then the All-Star games, Nebraska had nobody at the Senior Bowl. Omar Brown was at the Shrine Game. And then I think Nuri was at the Hula Bowl, and that was it. Reimer wasn't at one. I know he's been banged up quite a bit. Quentin Newsome didn't even go to one. I think those things combined are just pretty telling that when you have seniors and they don't make it to one of the 3 or 4 All-Star games, it kind of tells you the NFL's not very high on them. But who knows? I mean, there could be a guy. I never thought Tanner Lee would have been drafted, in the 6th round several years ago when he was. So, I mean, anything could happen. It's not a deep. Since NIL came, there's only 35 underclassmen in this draft. A couple years ago, there was 165. So the 6th and 7th rounds are pretty diluted this year. So a team might see Omar Brown and see, hey, here's a guy that can play nickel. Here's a guy that can play safety. He played well at the Shrine Game in the few clips that I saw. So, maybe they look to add him and see what they got, or, get a shot in training camp.
Fred says to you, Minnie, slash their tires for not inviting our guys. How many of our guys do you see actually being undrafted free agents, like how many of them sign?
I would think that the top three, Reimer, Brown, and Newsome for sure. Then you've got, I think Grant's going to get a shot. I mean, he had his fumbling issues. I get that, but he had a lot of juice to him. And he looks at, you think Billy Kemp's going to get a shot because he's got that special teams capabilities. The guy that I think to really kind of keep an eye on is Phelan Sanford. He's just a freak athlete. Mm-hmm. We saw him come in. He wasn't a starter, but he came in and he made plays. And I read somewhere, and I can't remember who it was, that one of the Nebraska media outlets made a comment about Phelan Sanford in the NFL, like somebody they had talked to, a scout, a coach or somebody. So I tried looking it up for an article and I couldn't find it, but he's someone that I don't think is going to get drafted. But I wouldn't be shocked if he's the one guy from this class that has the longest NFL career.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. That's awesome.
Is that largely based on, special teams type of output?
I remember a few years ago, I think this was still in the Frost tenure, they had like a little combine or something that they did, and they released like their 40-yard dashes and their 3-cone drill and all that stuff, and he was like at the top of all of them. And so you see it on tape too. He's more of a straight line linear athlete, but he's explosive. He's fast. He's going to be a gunner on punt teams. He's going to be on, now that they've got the new kickoff rules, I don't know if that helps him, but he's going to be on both punt coverage and punt return team. And I think he's just going to find a role. And I think with his athleticism, his explosiveness, his toughness, I think that's going to, sometimes you just need to find a coach that really likes you and you stick with that coach. And if that coach gets another job, you follow them, and, it could happen to any of these guys.
James Boardman reports from the Chatterfields that Matt Rule said in his conference today he's taking calls from NFL coaches about Phelan Sanford. So, to be happening on draft day, again, maybe it doesn't lead to having, hearing your name called in Detroit, I think this year, right?
Yep.
But to get that opportunity, I want to ask you about, we got a little bit of love in the comments about Billy Kemp. I know you mentioned him. Fred says, hope Billy Kemp makes it. He had a Minnie light fan cheering for him at the Northwestern game last fall. Aaron 1.5 says, if he makes it, Billy Kemp will be the first player in the NFL from the Shire. That's what happens. Sometimes I don't read all the comments before I start reading all the comments. But Quentin Newsome, I was just a huge fan of his the last few seasons. Mm-hmm. You mentioned him in like the top 3 of guys likely to, sign with Omar Brown and Luke Reimer, but he's got that. Correct me if I'm wrong. You see it in a different way than I see it with more keen analytical eye, but got that ball hawk ability. Is very disruptive in the passing game. Can he excel at the next level?
Yeah, I think he's got a little versatility to him. This year they ran a lot more zone. Previous years under Bush and Shenander, they were more cover 3, cover 4, so he was playing more man. And so his ball production went down. He didn't have as many pass breakups. He did have his only interception this season. But I think a lot of teams kind of stayed away from him. They attacked Malcolm Hartzog. They attacked Tommy Hill. And they kind of shied away from Quentin Newsome. And you get that when you have your top corner. He's been a 3-year starter. I think one of their better defensive players. Mm-hmm. I think he's got some versatility. I could definitely see him moving into the slot. I could see him maybe playing a little safety. And I think that versatility will help. I think I comped him a little bit to Joshua Kalu. And Kalu was a guy that played both corner and safety at Nebraska. And he's carved out a 6-7 year in the NFL career playing special teams, playing, he was with the Titans for several years, kind of being that kind of sixth, seventh defensive back and playing safety corner for them. So I definitely think Newsome has that ability.
Very good, very good.
So what about Marco Ortiz? Is there room for a long snapper anywhere?
I mean, there's room for 32 of them in the NFL. So, I would be lying if I said I know a lot about long snappers. Now that Bill Belichick is retired from the NFL, I don't think we'll have one drafted. He always liked to draft long snappers. But yeah, I mean, there's a chance. To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't really study those guys, so I stay away from specialists, kickers, punters, and long snappers.
And again, kind of going back to not to rehash, but Luke Reimer, when he's healthy, he's got good football awareness. I think maybe not the most athletically gifted, but I feel like a good mind for the game. Where have you heard, through your, rumor mill, like, is there any team that's a little higher on him than another where he's like, oh, well, if he doesn't get drafted, then he's likely to sign ...
I haven't. I mean, he's going to sign with some team. I mean, he's just too good of a football player. That's the guy I just want to succeed. Great kid, hardworking. I think injuries have really. I mean, he had shoulder's been pretty banged up. You see with the big old, he's got the thing around his shoulder brace. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for. I think he's had some injuries that have kind of caused him to. He wasn't as explosive these last few years as we saw him when he first came to Nebraska. And I think he's just been pretty beat up and that shows his toughness. And so I think he's a guy, once again, special teams is going to be there. We saw him actually playing coverage a lot more this year, under Shenander and Bush, they blitzed him a lot. And maybe that's why he kind of got so banged up is he was always going in against a Big Ten offensive interior lineman. And, saw him playing coverage a little bit more, and that was one of my big concerns coming into this year is, how is he going to be in coverage? And he played a lot better than I had kind of anticipated. So I think he's going to have a good shot in training camp. He just needs those preseason games to kind of really make plays and hopefully catch on and have get a nice 6-year career, get a pension, and you can live off that for the rest of your life.
Minnie, anything else for our draft expert, Brian?
No.
Brian, you're the best, man.
Brian, thank you so much. You
problem.
are the best.
We appreciate you carving out some time for us, buddy, and we'll let you get back to. Are you following the draft while you've been talking? Do you want me to fill you on the last couple of picks? Or are you good?
I've kind of been having it going right here. So I just saw that Brian Thomas Jr. went to the Jacksonville Jaguars. So
it looks like there were a lot of teams involved in. Cleveland, Houston, Minnesota, Jacksonville, all shuffling around in that 23rd pick, get trades and things like that. So we'll let you get back to it, man. I know it's a big night for you, and we appreciate you coming on and visiting with us a little bit about this Nebraska senior class, and hopefully they just land somewhere at the next level, I suppose.
And hopefully we'll actually get a lot more to talk about next year.
Let's hope. I mean, there's some guys that are coming up in the pipeline that have that potential. So it's all about just kind of developing. So,
hey, before you go, real quick, one of our wonderful Chatterfields, Fred, would like me to ask you about Dylan's prospects right now, straight to the NFL.
I mean, the limitedness that I've seen out of him, the first thing, he's got the size. I mean, he looks like an NFL quarterback, 6'2", 6'3", just thick. Got a good arm. I just can't wait to see. I can't wait to see him throw it. I'll be there on Saturday watching the game. So I'll be curious to see him live. And we'll see. I mean, he's got the Patrick Mahomes haircut, so.
You made Minnie both smile and frown when you said that, because you acknowledge that he's thick, but at the same time, with his type of God-given attributes, he may only be here a couple of years, and that will make Minnie very sad.
I mean, the whole goal is him being a 3-year starter. He wins the Heisman, is the first pick in the NFL draft. Kalen redshirts this year, backs him up for a year or two, and then is a 2-year starter, and he continues the process going. So
also wins the Heisman and becomes
there you go. I mean, that's the plan.
This is our perfect scenario. I wonder if they agree with this.
Brian, I cheers to you, sir. We appreciate your time, your talents, everything.
Cheers.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, we'll see you.
Take care. And again, we thank Brian Johannes or at draft _ Brian. So that's right. Brian drinking the Riola Aid Minnie's peddling.
So no, I didn't need to peddle anything. He knows. He's the expert. That's why I just sit there and I listen to him because he knows what he's talking about.
It was nice for the first time in a long time. You just sat there and listened.
Greg.
Oh, sorry. I couldn't help.
I'm wounded.
No, you're not. You're fine. Let's get back to the format.
Okay. Where were we?
We're talking about the transfer portal.
Hey, real quick, I just loved him talking about Phelan Sanford. And yes, Coach Rule talked about Phelan today, and Omar Brown and Quentin Newsome, but in particular Phelan Sanford. And that was awesome to hear. So hopefully these guys have a very bright future.
Well, I'll tell you who I hope has a very bright future with Nebraska is transfer portal acquisition Connor Essien, who joins the men's basketball team coming over to Nebraska from Wisconsin. So he committed earlier this week, and I think he has 3 years of eligibility left.
Ooh. Got to go see some highlights on him.
That's all I really had. I just wanted to point out that not just football, Nebraska's raking them in on the basketball side as well.
Good.
And if you want to know anything about softball or baseball, you're going to have to watch one of the other shows because I don't follow those as closely.
There's a lot going on.
Aaron Rostovsky, if he were our special guest tonight, he'd be able to tell you more about baseball, but then not me. Can we sidebar very quickly while we talked about basketball and talk about some basketball scheduling news that was announced earlier today? And then we can go right back to football, I promise.
Yes. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. So it was announced earlier today that the I-80 matchup, the rivalry to end all rivalries, Nebraska-Creighton will be played, if you can read it there, Friday, November 22nd. That's the graphic that Nebraska put out. And I don't give Creighton their flowers ever, despite being Catholic, and I probably should be nicer to them, but they suck, and I'll always say that. But this is the graphic that Creighton put out, and as much as I hate to say it, it looks a lot nicer than Nebraska's. We have Creighton versus Nebraska Friday, October 22nd at the Chi Health Center in Omaha. Don't worry, everybody. It's a Friday game, and Nebraska plays Wisconsin on Saturday that week at a time that is to be announced. So you can.
So, Greg, do you want to know why it looks better? This has been like something that's been proven psychologically. Like, for instance, our background is black. However, if our background was blue, it would improve the show's like aesthetic, if you will. Blue is just a proven go-to. People love blue. I don't know why. They do.
So I'll say two things, and they're both complimentary to me, so I'm going to relish in this little opportunity. A couple of years ago, I was at the tailor getting some fabrics for a couple of new suits, and I sent my wife, because I got her to sign off on, like, which one of these do I actually look good in? She said, you always look good in blue. So what I do, I got 2 blue suits. So I look good in blue. Now, that being said, for the aesthetics of this show, all we really need is this. All right. This is the
It's
only
true.
aesthetic that we need. Me, my
And your boob
Yingling,
lights.
and my boob light right there. Hi, guy. How you doing? You like that? I just heard the house shake. It was pretty cool. No. So I understand. Melissa loves red.
I love red.
Fred does not love blue. And Fred says, ooh la la, Greg has a Taylor rolling in that John Johnston gravy train. So what I'm about to say is I go to Bespoke Apparel, Clayton, Missouri, which is a bougie place. It's a little suburb of St. Louis. The tailor that I go to, he has been tailor to the stars for close to 40 years. One of those stars is Mr. Four-Toe himself, Deion Sanders.
What?
He has been Deion Sanders' tailor for decades. So
watch your toes when you go. That's all I have to say.
Aaron says that's too much, Greg, on my 65-inch TV.
Aw, poor Greg.
Sorry. You know what?
See, if you were surrounded by blue, they might have appreciated it.
Is this in your face enough, man? See
what he does to me? He totally cuts me out.
And Aaron says, that's not a fat shaming joke. I'll leave that to Minnie.
Oh, come on.
I'm dropping LBs slowly but surely. Someday.
Yeah. How are you doing with your new diet?
Well, it's not a diet. It's a lifestyle change.
It is. Okay.
My doctor told me a couple of weeks back, he's like, if you can grow it or kill it, it's okay, but avoid pastas, breads, and donuts. So I haven't had a donut in a few weeks, which has been tough. Minimizing my bread intake, haven't had any pasta. I was down about 8 pounds a week ago. I haven't stepped on the scale since. It's been hovering about that. And I don't eat after 8 o'clock. Only water or on Thursday nights, Yingling after 8 o'clock. So
that's awesome. Good going.
That's a good one, Fred. Careful on your next suit. Hope it doesn't have Deion's toes in the pocket. But I'll say this, though. Despite being tailors to the stars, they're tremendous people. And they've been very patient with me. I bought a few suits over there. So, all right. We can move on from basketball, which means we can go on to Minnie's favorite subject, which is football.
Yay.
Before we get to the spring game, we've got some commits to talk about that we had this week, Minnie. Oh,
yeah. So for the 2025 class, we've had a total of 7 commits thus far. And this week, we received 2 3-star tight end, Bear Tenney from Utah.
Mitch Sherman, who, by the way, was a guest this past Monday night on Monday Night Therapy with John Johnston, said this morning at 10:46, the 6th commitment for Nebraska in the class of 2025 is in. It's Bear Tenney, 6'5", 226 pounds from Lehigh, Utah, 3-star prospect. He visited Lincoln this spring, and Nebraska is also prioritizing in-state tight ends Chase Lofton and Ryman Zebert. We are just going to become tight end U again.
Because we got definitely Nebraska U. Because nearly every single commit we've gotten so far is from Nebraska, except for 2.
Well, you know what I mean, though. Like, we have Thomas Fedoni, Carter Nelson, and we have a signee from, from the tight end ranks, and we're still looking at 2 more in state. So,
yeah. We also got another guy named Tanner Turch. That is an amazing picture.
I built this graphic just for you.
I love that. I think I might print this one out and frame
it. For those of you who are again
superimpose myself where
easy
there is
now. Easy now.
Me and Dylan Raiola are going to be the best duo in college football.
The problem is, and I had to poke fun about this in our Slack chat room because underneath it says 3-star tight end Bear Tenney, who's again 2025 Lone Peak High School, Utah. He'd be a 4-star if he used grammar properly. If that said Dylan Raiola and I are going to be the best duo in college football. So what are we doing? Like, are we just throwing the academics out? Like, you don't have to worry about being a student. Just come on in and be an athlete. We don't care if you're dumb as a box of rocks. I'm not saying Bear Tenney is.
Let's be real, okay? I'm not so sure that ELA teachers are so concerned about that these days.
Did you say ELA?
Yeah, English Language Arts.
Oh, you mean they don't care about proper grammar?
Not so much.
Then that's the problem.
That is the problem.
Don't you think that's why Americans as a whole are dumber than they were 20 years ago?
Are they?
Oh God, come on now.
I think it's maybe because you can just Google everything.
Well, that's probably a part of it. But if we're gonna,
Greg, you've been known to Google.
I do, but it's for the benefit of mankind. It is for the benefit of this show. I also know that me and Dylan Raiola are going to be is not proper grammar. I don't need the King's English. I just need.
Can we just appreciate the effort here?
Can we? No, I would like to see a little bit more effort in the classroom. I'd be happy if he was. I'd be happy if he was 2-star and 5 brain cells.
This kid, okay, he's standing next to Dylan Raiola, who is 6'3". He looks like he must be 7 feet tall. This is a big kid.
No. How tall is Dylan?
6'3".
Okay. Is that with or without the hair all pointed upwards?
He's tall. Trust me.
Okay. I mean, like, I'm just shy of 6'3", so let's pump the brakes on tall, okay?
Yeah, but I haven't seen you in person, so I'll be able to tell you when I see you.
Have you seen Dylan in person?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you haven't volunteered to be on my chain. Wait, I got to stop. That was almost inappropriate. Anyway.
Greg, oh my God.
I didn't mean it that way, but, like.
There's children watching. I'm sure.
I don't think they're. Not if they. Look, if it's. Never mind. All right. So I will say this. I think Bear Tenney, we got off on a tangent. This is what happens when I try to be nice and put up a graphic just for you. Bear, he's probably like 6'6". That's about it. I don't think let's not get carried away.
He's taller than that. He is. I don't even know what his height shows, but he is taller than that.
Well, you Google it, and I'll move on to our next 2025 commit. Is that fair?
No, we just went. We did talk about Tanner Church, didn't we?
Nope.
I thought I did.
Maybe you mentioned it, but that was before I was putting the other graphic up. We were still on Bear Tenney.
Oh, so, okay.
Tanner Church, sorry.
There he is.
See, Melissa says 6'6". That's what I said.
Thank you, Melissa.
That's exactly what I said. I said he's 6'6".
Yeah.
You call me a liar. Call me a dumbass. That's fine. Thank you, Aaron. Aaron 1.5 says if there are children watching, it's only because Greg has Yingling hair. So that's right. I got Yingling in a playground. Come on, kids. That's horrible. I shouldn't say that. Moving back on. All right, come on, Tanner. Welcome aboard, sir. Tanner's from Colorado. So
number one. What is he? Number one.
Wide receiver.
Is he a wide receiver?
I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Well, I think you're right, actually. But we have him listed as an athlete, and that he'll probably start out on defense. So I guess he can play all different kinds of positions.
Hey, when you're listed as an athlete, you can do anything.
Absolutely. So that's exciting. 2025 is looking pretty good. And then we have like 7 players watching the spring game this Saturday. So,
And do we have names on those players?
I mean, I do, but I didn't write them down.
Oh, okay. That's fine.
I can talk about the other commits.
Yeah,
that we
we've got
have.
Tyson Terry on defensive line, and
Mhm.
Jackson Carpenter, who's listed as an athlete, and Caden Vermas, who's also an athlete, and Bryson Hayes, who's a wide receiver, and Connor Booth as running back. So there's your 7 so far for the 2025 class, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and Husker fans of all ages.
Now we can move on to the spring game. That's what everyone has been here for. What?
Fred wants to know if Tanner Church is taller than Dylan's new friend Bear.
Yeah, no, not quite.
And Aaron 1.5 says, didn't write down a potential player name? The audacity.
You know what? I think I probably did. You guys, I have notes upon notes upon notes, and then I have to.
She
I
has
have
to
to
whittle
know
it down to
everything.
one page.
One page. One page is all I'm allowed now.
Yeah. I mean, and we're already at 1 hour and 10, and we're just now getting to the spring game. So
That's why.
it's all my fault. I'm a bad person. It's all my fault.
Oh,
Try
you're
to
not. It's
try
okay.
to inject a little entertainment for the people who are giving up their Thursday evening to spend with us, and we can't all be spitting just straight facts. Sometimes you got to make them laugh. You know.
Okay. Yes, it's true.
You're the
But we're
facts
here-
person, and I'm the
we're
funny
here-
person.
Okay. I'm the good cop. You're the bad cop.
I didn't say that. Don't give yourself that much power.
This Saturday is our spring game, the red and white game, 11 a.m. on the Big Ten Network. What? What are you
Thanks,
laughing
Scott.
at?
Scott says, I'm excited about all the recruits coming to visit for the spring game. I wish I knew their names.
Guys.
Thanks, Scott. Yes, 11 o'clock, Big Ten Network. Is that 11 o'clock God's time, favorite time zone, the central time zone? Or is that a lesser time zone?
Nope. So we have a question for you.
Yes, we do.
Which side of the ball do you root for when you're watching the spring game? Is it the red team? Is it the white team? Is it the gray team? Is it the green team?
Well, I know yours is the green team.
Mm.
So I asked for this question to be included because it's something that I think about, honest to God, every spring leading up to the spring game. It's trying to find that balance of, I sure want the defense to look strong, but if the defense looks too strong, does that mean that the offense sucks? Or, man, I really want to see, Danny Dimes air it out, find success, Jalen Lloyd, Malachi Coleman, etc. But man, if they do that, does that mean that the defense isn't up to snuff? Where's the balance? Like, what side of the ball, Minnie, I'll ask you, we'll ask the Chatterfields, what side of the ball do you want to see really excel on Saturday?
Well, I think this year I want to see offense excel. I want to see them throwing. I want to see. Come on. I mean, you asked.
Aaron says, I can't get Dylan the Titanic pose out of my head. Now, there's a new shirt at copycorn.com.
That would be amazing.
Aaron says, is
Gorgeous.
this what it's like to be Minnie? Yeah, you want to see the offense excel, and we all know why.
Yeah.
I want to, who was it? Vince Watson in the chat said, defense wins championships. Vince, thank you so much. And
It's true.
as excited as I get for, like one of those Jalen Lloyd or Malachi Coleman, or Trey Palmer, long touchdowns, things like that. I don't know if as much gets me fired up, gets me out of my seat more than a really nice defensive play. And I go back to Nebraska, Illinois last fall, the game I took my boy to and we froze our asses off. But when Nebraska made that goal line stand and then went down the field. Like that was a game changer, despite the fact that I think it was, still the first quarter. So I relish those moments. So I'm with you, Vince. For me, the defense, because you have to in this league, the defense has to be strong. I don't want it to be the only aspect that succeed. How many times last year did I say, "Oh, this defense deserves better," when the offense would go out there and sputter and fail? But for me, I think the defense. So
No, you're right. It's a great point too. However, we need our offense to show us that they can do something. We just need it. We have Isaiah Nayor and Jamal Banks also as wide receivers. So I want to see how they fit in. Do they have the chemistry? What kind of routes are they running? Like, I'm just really, really curious about our wide receivers. And from what I've heard and from what I've seen of them both, they have sure hands, meaning they're not going to be dropping balls. So I hope that no drop balls. That's it.
Let's see here. Fred says, I don't root for either team. I remember Newcomb's spring game where he played so well, they flipped him from red to white. I just like to see playmakers. That's, very good point. And Fred also says Minnie wants to see the offense excel. In other news, water is wet. Aaron 1.5 says she didn't deny it. Aaron Rostovsky, also known as Aaron version 1, says we are holding out some big defensive guys, aren't we? So I want to see us wing it all over the place. Fred says I probably skew towards defense. Defense has more grit. And I am so apologetic. Akinbugaha.
Akinbugaha.
That's what I said.
That is.
If Dylan chucks for 300 yards, is it hooray or defense red flag? I think it's defense red flag. That's me.
No.
I mean,
it's hooray.
He's only going to play. He's only going to play half of the series.
Here's how I envision Saturday going. Okay, correct me if you think I'm wrong, because I'm not. I'm pretty sure I've thought about this a lot.
We know.
I think Dylan goes out, takes the field, and I think it is a reenactment of what happened last year at the basketball game, where everybody just starts chanting his name. Dylan, Dylan, Dylan.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, you do.
No,
I'm sure you do.
Not familiar. Not familiar with it. Who are we talking about?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All right.
Anyways,
let's hit this comment here because James is doing the work that I admit I didn't do, and that Minnie you may have done, but we have no evidence of it. James Boardman says visitors this weekend to. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that you said probably did it, and it's lost in your 9 or 10 pages of notes. All right. Okay. Visitors are athlete Michael Terry, quarterback TJ Lateef, who's their number one target. Yeah, we really need a good quarterback. Offensive lineman, oh crap, Alai Kalanivalu. Yeah, offensive line, John Mills. Wide receiver Cortez Mills, probably no relation. I don't know. Wide receiver Emmanuel Choice, linebacker Dawson Merritt, and defensive back Antonio Branch Jr. Thank you, James Boardman.
Thank you, James.
Coordination membership to that guy. If I was able to hand them out, that's what I would do. All right. Well, I appreciate that. Was a fun little side conversation. And then specifically what we are looking for this Saturday, and I say we because I totally had input on this list. But running back Emma Johnson says he's seeing some things different this year, and really interested to see, what he brings to the field, especially on third down. If he's going to be that all-purpose third down back. And then will we see Dante Dowdell? What do you think, Minnie?
I'm really wondering why we haven't heard very much about Dante Dowdell. He's the running back from Oregon.
Right.
Remember the transfer.
I remember.
Some people are saying it's his lack of experience, but that he's a physically hard runner. So I hope to get to see him. I mean, anytime we're adding to the roster, I want to see what these guys are.
I want to sidebar real quick while we're talking specifically about Emmett Johnson, and correct me if I'm wrong. I believe when he was at the podium earlier this week, and maybe other Huskers have said it and I haven't seen it, but I feel like somebody made the point to say that, he gave a shout out to Greg Sharp. And I believe it's that player, and wanted, Greg to know that, the team's thinking about him, praying for him to the deity of their choosing. I'm not in the locker room. I don't want to, make assumptions. But, I thought that was real classy. Little bits like that make me cheer a little bit more for the guy. And, he's only one let me stop right there. He's only one running back we have with the last name of Johnson, because Ramir Johnson as well. And I feel like he's been here forever, but he's endured a lot, both, physically from injuries, but also the 10 years that he's been here for. He was a Frost recruit or Frost coaching staff recruit. And, so I really hope that he's able to stay healthy and find some success this year. So
yeah, he's been practicing. You're right. It was Emmett that said that at the very end. And he just asked for a minute and just said, it was a class act, total class act, and very well-spoken man. But Ramir Johnson, he has been practicing. We're just not going to see him on Saturday's game. And then Gabe Irvin Jr. also spoke this week.
I did see that.
And he's coming off of that hip injury. So he says that he's healthy and that he's getting healthier all the time. So, the fall is going to be big for these guys. Or starting in August or July, excuse me.
Minnie, can you read this comment, please?
Fred Sacco says, haven't heard much about Dowdell because some people only talk about Dylan? ?
I don't know who that would be.
True. Not true.
Not 100% true, but like 93% true. You know what? I'll say this, Scott. Scott says, great. We have two running backs made of glass. Can't stay healthy. It's not ballet. I almost feel bad saying that because I know ballet dancers go through a lot. I remember seeing this. I was a kid. Oh my God. I don't know why this memory just came flashing right up to the forefront. There was an old episode of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood where he was visiting with Lynn Swann. Mr. Rogers was from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So he was visiting with Lynn Swann, the Super Bowl champion receiver for the Steelers. And Lynn Swann, to help with his balance and things like that, he actually took ballet as a professional football player. So anyway, I'm not trying to minimize ballet dancers' efforts, but it's a physical. If I go out there and I got tackled, it just put me in traction, But I'm 42 and out of shape, so I don't know if made of glass is the best. I mean, if you're going to say that about Gabe Irvin, Ramir Johnson, you got to say that about Luke Reimer. You got to say about so many players. So let's give him a shot. I mean, I've been excited for Gabe Irvin since he committed to Nebraska. Ramir Johnson, I feel like, has been here long enough that he should be a 42-year-old man. So let's let them end their careers or take the next step in their careers the way they want to do it. And if that's with the Big Red, then I'm not going to shit on them for playing a tough physical game. So knock it off, Scott. Lead with grace, man. Lead with grace. So
well said, Greg.
I'm actually very smart once in a while. All right, so we talked about the running back position. You are most excited, besides the quarterback room, we all know that, for wide receivers, because I see I'm figuring it out. The I'm going to fine you $3 every time I see jazz hands. All right, but the quarterback is only as successful as his wide receiver. So if Dylan's going to be a Heisman Trophy winner, he's going to have top-notch players to throw to. So that's my viewpoint on why you're excited. Why are you second most excited for the wide receivers?
Well, these are two guys that are real. I mean, we've seen what they can do.
Who?
They're proven. Isaiah Nair and Jamal Banks.
All right. Well, you just said these. I didn't know. We also have Malachi Coleman. We have Jalen Lloyd. We got a lot of players.
Okay, they brought experience to the team, is what I'm saying. So I'm really, really excited to see what they can add.
That's it. We might get out of here in an hour and a half after all. All right.
I mean, we could go into more if you wanted to.
No. You're excited to see what they can do. Can they beat
the
press
ins
coverage?
and the outs? I'm sure they can.
The outs and the ins.
Both of them are. I know.
I mean, I was just kidding, buddy. We're all good.
Okay.
Yeah, Fred has a great question. Your two transfer portal acquisitions, are they proven as Huskers in Big Ten play?
So I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Which one? Who was Banks? Came from Wake Forest.
He came from Wake Forest, and they had
ACC. That's a different league altogether. Where did Nair come from?
He's the one who came from Wyoming, then Texas.
Okay. No. I think there's tougher competition in the Big Ten than both of those leagues.
Than the SEC?
Well, they're not. They weren't in the SEC. They were in the Big 12. And Wake Forest is in the ACC.
Where did Isaiah Nair come from?
Didn't you say Texas?
No. Sorry. He came from shoot. Where did he come from? Help. Google it, Craig.
Wyoming. He came from Wyoming. Before that, he was at Texas.
Okay. He was. Yeah, he was. Okay.
So, Big Ten is better than the Big 12, and it's better than the Mountain West. So,
supposedly.
I didn't even, Aaron, I didn't really have to Google. I was right.
He's on his A game. He's only had 2 beers.
Fred says, "Oh no, Greg schooled Minnie harder than a coloring book vexes Dylan."
Oh, Greg.
I didn't say it. That's Fred.
If I could figure out how to mute somebody, I might do it.
Who tried to mute me or them?
Greg. Or no, Fred.
You can't remember. I tried that with Josh once and it kicked him out for like 20 minutes. We learned our lesson, and I felt bad, but I was at least comforted in knowing that it was a good buddy of mine. I was in his wedding, and he would forgive me. If you put Fred in timeout, Fred may never come back.
Are you kidding? He lives for this abuse. I know it.
I don't. Look, if somebody put me in timeout, that's like putting baby in the corner. All right. You get one shot. Anyway. Fred says, "I think Greg just types things and says it's me. Never seen us in the same place."
I think you're right.
Aaron 1.5 says muting Fred is censorship. That's right. You're going against his God-given First Amendment rights.
Oh, true. I would never do that.
No, never. All right. Let's talk quickly about the offensive line, who will be in gray jerseys.
Yep. Okay, who are the standouts going to be? Greg.
What?
I had to get there. Who do you think the standouts are going to be on the offensive line? Are there going to be any?
I think Bryce Benhart's going to take. I do think Bryce Benhart's going to take another leap. This offseason, if we don't see it all completely by this Saturday, I think by the time we kick off against UTEP might not be the best because example because they're UTEP, but I think by the time we get to Big Ten play, I think Bryce Benhart will have cemented himself as a very capable, much improved right tackle. Field.
He'll be definitely racking up the starts. I think he'll be like the top by the time the fall gets here. He will have the most starts on offensive line than any Cornhusker.
I can see that. Was it doggone it? Why gotta ask me these tough questions when I'm not prepared?
I have notes for you. You are prepared.
No, you know what I mean. Will he be a standout? I don't know. I think Ben Scott's going to continue to be Ben Scott. Very stable. As far as who's going to step up and make a name for themselves, I hate to say it's probably not going to be Turner Corcoran. I hate to say it. I just think we saw his best, and I think he's going to get kind of outplayed. Justin Evans, I think he's gonna find himself on the starting five. So,
he's the starting five. He's only a 2 in center.
Well, that's fine. Aaron 1.5 says Teddy P healthy. I think we'll know more about that on Saturday.
Probably won't see him very much though.
Not healthy at the moment, according to Scott Schrader. Again, we got our man on the inside here. But fall, like this,
they're not going to play the seniors very much. They said they already told us this. They've already gotten enough reps.
And as I hate to say it, like I don't put a whole lot of stock in the spring game. Does that make me a bad fan? Like, because it's it's not necessarily full on game situation. You're not out there to maim the opponent like you would be a Colorado. I don't know. I'll watch it. I'll watch it when the recording of it rather.
Yeah, you're not holding this in the significance that it should be held. I'm noticing that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wait, if you want to really laugh, I have a work appointment 9:30 Saturday morning. So it's after that I'm going to take my family to St. Louis. They don't know yet. Like, they're all upstairs. They're right like above me. So don't tell them. But we're going to go. We're going to go out to West County Plaza. We're going to bum around, do a little bit, Anyway, that's right. Fred says, I'm a terrible fan. I need to treat this like a conference title game, and I'm a monster. And Aaron says it's not a full bore real game, and I'm correct.
No. I mean,
I think Aaron's the way Aaron is speaking to me tonight, he's elevating himself. We don't have Aaron 1 and Aaron 1.5. We now have 2 Aaron 1s. I'm just saying.
How are you? Never mind. I don't even want to know.
I don't know what sounds like. There's an awful lot of questionable content in your brain right now, Minnie.
Yeah, I just feel bad for Aaron Rostovsky because
he didn't get demoted.
Just say his last name. Just say his last name.
I do. I say it all the time. It's Aaron Rostovsky, or sometimes I say Aaron number 1.
Maybe you know what football players do? They call each other by their last name.
Hey, yo, Rostovsky.
That's what we're gonna start doing. Rostovsky and is it Ken? Kane?
We got Sacco.
It's true.
Boardman,
Hey,
what's up?
Mahachko. Mahachko. That's a cool last name.
Damn right it is. No major injuries this spring. Bubble wrap the potential starters on Saturday. And nope and nope.
What? Nope and nope. Okay.
It means that I don't think you pronounced his last name correctly.
Oh. How would you pronounce it?
I
the
would
K silent?
say is what? Did you say is the H silent?
No, it's the K silent.
Are you drunk?
No.
I would say it is it Keen?
My
Aaron, let me know if
maiden
it's Keen.
name
I want to say maybe
started
it's
with
Aaron
a K.
Keen.
My maiden name started with a K and it was silent. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, but that's because you're Polish.
No.
I mean,
I'm not Polish, trust me.
Zacho says, I feel bad for Rostovsky after Minnie fat shamed him and half of Husker Nation.
What? I did not.
The silent K, are you high? That's what I said. I'll tell you what. Boom!
What did you say? How did
I
you
said
say it?
Keen. It's Keen.
Didn't I say that?
No, you said Ken. Like Barbie and Ken. Kentastic.
All right, Keen. Gotcha.
All right, let's move on. All right, regarding the quarterbacks,
Yes.
they will not be live. They will, in fact, be tape delayed. They are getting all their throws in Friday at 11, and then we'll air the throws Saturday at 11 to the players who are running down the field in real
Wide
time.
receivers. Okay.
So they will not be live.
Yeah.
That note here, Article 7, subsection C, they wouldn't be live. That's the only thing I can make of that.
Okay. And rule clarified today that it was 2 quarterbacks, Heinrich Harburg and Dylan Raiola, who both had a 99-yard throw. I don't know if it was a throw or a run, but
Yes, the answer is yes. I don't need to highlight that one. Everybody can see Scott's comment here at 10:38.
he already hasn't. He's been holding an offer from Nebraska since, I don't know what, 2021. He was in junior high.
Oh, I read that wrong. I thought Scott, I'm sorry. I apologize. I thought you were asking if she was actively recruiting Dylan Raiola. I was going to say yes. Yes, she is.
No.
It's like, play for Nebraska, but come to Arizona. I've named my husband after you. It's okay.
Come live by me.
Aaron Keene says to throw and run have silent R's. I appreciate you, Minnie. You take a lot of abuse every Thursday night.
I do. I think that's why you guys want me here. I do all the show notes and then I get abused.
It's fine.
It's a thankless job. It's a thankless job.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, for a number of years, I didn't have an audience that I knew about. Like, they were providing honest, like, up to the minute feedback. So it was just me and Brian, or me and Hoss and John, and we were just talking, and they're putting it out there and hoping somebody would comment. So this is great.
This is great. This is fun.
All right.
Can we end on one thing? Go ahead.
Can we answer this question from Melissa first?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Melissa wants to know, did you hear we are talking to the quarterback from Northwestern in the transfer portal? I did not.
No, I didn't know that. Melissa, she knows.
She has her thumb on the pulse of the news, and we appreciate you as well, Melissa. So I just think it's funny that Sacco and Keene are just removing the letter R from there. God bless you all. All right. I have comments that I have started throughout the evening.
Yeah.
Do you want to do those, or do you want to end the show
No.
on this high note?
I mean, you told Elise that we would go back and talk about her comment or answer a question.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she left.
Beginning of the show about an hour and a half ago, so she's probably still waiting.
Elise, are you still there? The only comment that we received all night from X, and she had a twofer. Elise says, "Is our offense that improved, or has our defense taken a step back?" I'm gonna let you go first. That's what I'm gonna do.
I mean, we won't know till Saturday, so that's a great question. After Saturday, we can answer that.
Okay. And she follows it up by saying that last spring we saw 8 turnovers. That was a predictor of what we would see in the season. So I'm going to go out on a limb.
Okay. That is.
Say you won't see 8 turnovers this weekend in Lincoln, unless you go to a really nice bakery, maybe an apple turnover or a cherry turnover, if that's your thing. But on the football field, I don't think you'll see 8 turnovers. I think in that regard, we did get an upgrade at the quarterback position across the board. Even Heinrich Harburg has improved this year over last. So I do think that some of those mistakes will be reduced. So, At least we appreciate your patience, and we hope you're still here to get those questions.
Good questions, though. Great questions. I think she's asking the question that everybody wants to know.
Are we better than we were a year ago?
Yeah. We need to see that on Saturday. So,
but will we see it on Saturday, or will we see it in September? That's the thing,
I mean,
because again,
probably won't.
You run into that problem. That's kind of what I was talking. If the quarterbacks throw for a combined 600 yards, then did we get that much of an upgrade at the quarterback position, or is our defense shit in the bed? Or if we have 8 turnovers, which again I don't think. Is our offense not as good as we thought, or our quarterbacks not there, or did we upgrade on the defensive side? It's tough to gauge that one. So, all right, let's see. Interesting back-to-back questions here. I got to find them. Easier said than done. Cornhusker Corner said over an hour ago, is it just me, or is entering the portal slowly going out of style?
Yes. Yeah. In fact, here's we don't have a whole lot of time, but
I mean, outside of Boulder, Colorado, it's going out of style.
You know why, right? It's because
nil.
Yep, players are getting paid. Yep. I mean, why wouldn't you stay?
Unless you're just going to get paid some more somewhere else. So
exactly.
Right.
Which Nebraska, fortunately, is in a position to pay players.
You can let them loan all the Lamborghinis and Louis Vuitton bags you want, but after the photo shoot, they got to give them back. So it's not, you know, it's, yeah. Thank you, Vince. I appreciate the correction. And sincerely, that's not me being a smart ass. I said, hopefully we see it in September, but Vince said August 31st, not, hopefully August 31st, not waiting until September to see that improvement. And this is so far out of left field, and I don't know the context except, without scrolling up in the chat, but Melissa says, Sims left to Minnie's backyard.
Okay.
I don't.
Oh, because he's, somebody said that he's looking at Arizona State. Did he go there?
Oh, okay.
He's not in my backyard.
What I thought. Moving
Although, if he was, I would throw.
No.
Okay. Okay.
Living in Omaha, David Matney, the official realtor of the 5 Heart Podcast, who we haven't seen him in the chat in a little while, so I'm kind of concerned that he's no longer in the house. But even if he's not, he can put you in the house of your dreams in the Omaha metro area. go find him out on YouTube, get to his channel, get to his contact information, and let him know you came to him through the 5 Hard podcast. But anyway, he says with the last regime, we seem to lose top tier players. We are now retaining those top tier players. I think that was tied into that transfer portal question from earlier. So,
last week when I was talking at the end about how I count, I wanted to bring this up again because I counted at the end of the year how many players we had on our roster versus how many players Michigan had. Michigan had, and I didn't write the number. I did write it down in my notes somewhere, but I can't find it. They had like 135 players. We had like 113 or 123, something like that. And I was like, why is there a discrepancy? Why did they get more players? And remember, we were talking about how now you can put a player that may have been on scholarship. You can pay them with NIL. So we're not differentiating between that any longer. So what's to stop us from having 200 players on our roster and only just traveling with 85?
To that question, I'd probably say finite amount of resources.
No. But let's say, like, for instance, say we want to become like a national champion. What's to stop us from like stocking our roster this year? Just this year. We put all of our eggs in one basket.
Do you want to do that DR first year or do you want to do that DR?
No, I'm not.
Year?
I'm just saying, like, if I had the resources and I wasn't Nebraska, like, what's to stop me?
I guess nothing.
Yeah. It's kind of like what
it's the Wild West.
It is the Wild West.
Yeah. And
you can pay them anything.
I think there's a pretty definitive line of demarcation. Like there are people who are for it or there are people who are against it. And I would say, I think the older I get, which is antithetical to, most of my, I don't want to say beliefs or values, but most of my mentality. But the older I get in this regard, I'm like, let the kids make the money. Most of these guys are not going to go to the next level. They're not going to have, opening night, round 1 draft pick money. Let them get paid while they can get paid. That's just me.
I want you guys, when you get a chance, because we're heading towards the offseason, watch on Netflix Untold Swamp Kings. Yeah, after next week.
No, we've been in the offseason since the end of November. I don't know if you know that.
I know. No, we really haven't, because we've had lots to talk about every week about football.
I don't know if this may or may not come as a surprise to you, but we're still going to talk football after Saturday. Just want you to know.
Yeah, but what are we going to be talking about? So this is what I want to. I want to preface this because there is this amazing show, and I sent it to you, called Untold Swamp Kings. Watch it, Netflix. Everyone, on Netflix, please.
Speaking of watching things, everyone, eventually we're going to have to reschedule our Young Guns watch along with John Dam Johnston. But we know he is in Nebraska, I believe, right now. Let's knock out some more of these starred comments here because we do have one from Rostovsky. We'll get there. You were talking about muting or banning, or not banning, but silencing Fred Sacco. And Fred says, I am the earth. I am the wind. I am more constant than Minnie's allegiance to that Raiola kid. I think what he's saying is he's a force of nature.
He
will
is
not
a force
be silenced.
of nature.
So I appreciate that. Let's see here. Cornhusker Corner at 9:08 p.m. said, hey, guys, I'm here at my grandma's house in Omaha. Made the pilgrimage up 15 hours from Houston to see the quarterback, Lord and Savior. Long may he reign. Danny Dimes, go Big Red. He didn't include that part. I had to specify.
I was going to say
Danny Dimes.
Yeah.
Let's see. Living in Omaha, David Matney, the official realtor of the 5 Heart podcast, says, is Deion gone this year or next? I say unless they have a 2-win or less season, which I'm not saying is impossible, I say he probably gets the mercy of a third year. But it doesn't matter because you can't win the way he's trying to build a program over there.
He doesn't even know his players' names.
Yeah.
It's so sad. If you watch practice, he runs around on his little scooter thingy, and he's like, "Good job, 3-5. Good job." I'm like, I freaking know your players' names. How do you not?
Well, that's why 27 of them have jumped in the transfer portal. So,
yeah.
Let's see. That. Aaron Rostovsky says more jazz hands. So since it was requested, I guess we'll let you do jazz hands. What was that? Was that like, I'm a bear?
No, that's your version of jazz hands. Let me show you. Put your hands up. Wiggle, wiggle.
That is not jazz hands.
Yes,
this is jazz hands. All right, that's jazz hands. I don't know what this is.
That's so good. Greg, Lord. It's late at night.
We have done later shows than this. Let's see. Cornhusker Corner also said Ramir Johnson and Emmett Johnson are Huskers. I want to stick with our guys. Screw the Buffs. Oh, because we were talking about would Edwards come over to Nebraska. So I'm right there with you, CC. Again, I think you left a long time ago. That's okay. Aaron Keene says on the YouTube membership topic, and before I forget, YouTube may allot 5 memberships a month that can be awarded by the stream owner or admins. Not sure of the rules, but maybe worth looking into. That is something that one of us will look into. And while Minnie does have StreamYard admin capabilities, we have not given her the keys to YouTube yet. So I'll look into it, or John will look into it. I say yet, but you wouldn't know what to do over there on YouTube. We're not.
I barely know what to do here.
That's true. It's the only way we're still going. So let's see. Rostovsky also said Cooper DeJean from Iowa, not a first-round pick. LOL. And Fred says that you look like flies caught in flypaper. I'm assuming he's talking about you because my jazz hands are superb. So thank you, Fred.
I'm pretty sure that my jazz hands were good. They had a lot of enthusiasm behind them. Yours did not. Yours was faked. That's definitely faked. Give me a break. I have the enthusiasm.
I don't know if you know this, guys can't fake anything, if you know what I mean. So it was okay. Legit. All right. You talked about what are we going to talk about in the offseason? And I said we always have something to talk about. Aaron Rostovsky says we'll talk about baseball's run to the championship. And that high note lasted a full minute before Fred says, not on here unless they win a title, and even then Minnie will give them 2 minutes at best. So, or unless after spring ball, Coach ruled let Dylan Raiola play baseball. So, All right, here we go. The toughest one of the night, again to pronounce. Akinbugaha said, "Yo, Greg, I heard Dylan R is now projected to go early second round. Can they steal our future, the bastards?" We joked about this a little bit with Brian Johannes when he was on.
I don't know if that's funny.
Well, there was a follow-up comment that I didn't star that said he was drafted in the second round or would be drafted in the second round and then traded to San Francisco. So not even in Arizona. But I guess if he's playing the Cardinals, once a year, you could always go to a game there and watch him. So. Scott Schrader says, I want to thank whoever gave me the Corn Nation membership. Well, that is randomly assigned by the algorithm. But those
isn't that nice?
5 of them were provided tonight by Living in Omaha, David Matney. So
yay!
Make sure you next week on the show you let him know. So.
And if you got a membership, you can actually, when you're typing in a comment, click on the button that says emoji, not the regular keyboard button. It's the It's when you're typing, and it will give you special emojis. The
I didn't know that.
Nebraska, the N, it will give you the Iowa Hawkeyes, like a line through them, and
good.
all kinds of fun things. Yeah.
So James, I think, just utilized one of those, but we can't see
Yes,
it in
he
our.
did.
They're there, but we can't see them in my stream, so I'll have to go back and watch. Fred says Minnie's trying to get Dylan transferred to a wilderness cabin to finish his novel. I feel like there's a Hallmark Christmas movie that's going to star Minnie and Dylan. You know, like
We meet each other at a Christmas tree lot.
Sure. Or, you know, we could stay on point and be like, or at the Big Ten championship game. Whatever.
Okay.
I see you're only out for you and not for Husker Nation.
No.
Scott has a really good point here. Week 2, Texas versus Michigan on big noon kickoff. So Scott's hoping for Nebraska, Colorado to be a night game. That would be fun. A night game atmosphere. Nebraska, Colorado, the second game of the season.
I really hope so too.
Well done there. So one last comment here that starred, and it was starred at 9:11, so almost 2 hours ago. But this is an important one. And it's so important that I don't have a graphic for it, but I did make sure to get all the information up to date for you. But Aaron Rostovsky says he's got all the tailgate essentials for the Coronation tailgate on Sunday, and he wants all of you in the eastern Nebraska area, if you're going to be around for the spring game, to make sure that you partake in the tailgate. And the information on that specifically is that it's going to be at 10:30 until the baseball game starts at 1 o'clock. And it will be, let's see, I'm trying to find a just Haymarket Park parking lot along the west side of the softball field. Look for the Cobby flag that will be flying. So a limited number of hot dogs, chips, various drinks, and lots of talk about Husker sports before going to cheer on our boys to victory.
Be fun.
John Dam Johnston's going to be there. He's also going to the spring game. Aaron Rostovsky's going to be there. Andy and Miley Ketterson from Husker Heat will be there. I will be in Illinois. At that time of day, probably just getting out of church. So, sorry. But it's my goal. It is my goal, my hope.
James
will be there.
James will be there.
Woo! It is my hope to make it to Lincoln for a home game this fall. So working out the details on that.
You better.
Scott will be on his sofa. Fred will be there in spirit. If I make it to a game this fall, everybody will know about it, and everybody will be invited. And I will sign autographs on whatever you have for me to sign autographs on. I'll have 18 Sharpies with me, and I'll wear them all out if I have to. So
you're going to sign autographs?
Yeah, because who doesn't want to devalue the piece of paper that they bring me?
I'm coming then.
All right. Scott wants to know what game you're going to in Lincoln.
So far, I'm going to Colorado, but I'm planning on going to the Michigan game and also USC. Fingers crossed. Hoping.
We got lots of time to figure out all those logistics. Let's see. Will you sign a tattoo of your face on John's butt on someone else's butt? Hold on. I got to uninceptionize it. Will you sign a tattoo of your face on John? Okay, so somebody else's butt has a tattoo of John's butt with my face tattooed on it. And yes, in fact, we can go.
Not Michigan. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, we can go to the tattoo parlor after, and then they can adjust the existing tattoo to permanently mark my autograph on the buttock.
Okay.
Well, that is a cue for you to go, I guess. Your phone's blowing up over there.
one of my daughters. Actually, no. What I was going to say is you're right. We don't play Michigan. I meant Ohio State.
Everybody's letting you know about that. Scott's letting you know. Melissa's letting you know.
I
Your
know.
daughter's texting you to let you know.
I'm so upset over this whole Michigan thing. You have no idea.
Oh, the fact they're getting away with college football murder.
I was
there?
hoping that they would at least start the season with some sanctions. I mean, come on. Something.
I'm sorry. That's just not how it works.
Ohio State is away. Yes. My niece lives there, so.
No.
And so is USC.
Aaron Keene says Dylan's agent is calling.
Yes. Hello. Yes. No, I'm kidding.
Well, since you were going to react like Fred says, Dylan is texting Minnie, please leave me alone. And I like Vince's optimism. Maybe she meant Michigan in the championship game. So,
yeah, they're not going to make it this year.
Who, Michigan or Nebraska?
Michigan.
17-0, Nebraska, baby. Let's do it.
Baby. I love that. Hey, can we end on, remember last week we were talking about
we probably should end. What? No, refresh my memory because it wasn't in the notes. You're going off script now, Minnie.
Remember I told you I was looking on the internet for a quote by Matt Rule, and then I stumbled across a website that has Matt Rule quotes.
Oh, yes. I was like, what kind of website did you stumble across? MattRuleQuotes.com or something, right?
No, I don't know what it is, but can I say the quote?
Please.
He has many, this guy. He's full of wisdom. Discipline is doing what you hate to do, but nonetheless doing it like you love it. Matt Rule.
I don't see that one on this website at all.
Oh, shoot.
What about, I'm never going to subcontract out jobs for offense and defense. I'm always going to hire people I believe in and are going to do things our way, that are going to believe in process, that are going to be part of a program. Matt Rule.
Love it. Love it.
This one would really go a long way on this show, especially with my most recently added co-host. I don't tolerate people being disrespectful or bullyish to each other. You can't hurt women. You can't hurt people that are less fortunate than you. You can't bully other people, Matt Rule. So would you please stop bullying me, Minnie?
No, you're not a woman. He's talking about me.
No, he says you can't hurt people that are less fortunate than you, and you can't bully other people.
He said you can't hurt a woman.
You can't, but he didn't make it exclusively about women. He says you can't hurt people that are less fortunate than you, and you can't bully other people. So I'm asking you to look within yourself into your 5 hearts and maybe to stop bullying me so much on the show.
Okay, Greg, don't even.
All right. That is it for this episode of the 5 Heart Podcast, everybody. As I say, God bless y'all for spending your Thursday night. Aaron Rostowski, for whatever reason, decided to put us up on his 65-inch TV, which means BAM! That was probably way too loud for my family that's all asleep upstairs. So apologize to them as well. So we'll see you next week. Enjoy the spring game. If you're going out to the tailgate, make sure that John takes pictures with you, and then you can send them to me, and I'm going to put my email address in so we get email sent to the appropriate email address. So in the chat, that is not an email address. Hold on. There we go. That's not, you can tell I'm trying to type and talk at the same time. So if you get a picture with John or Aaron or Andy, Miley, anybody from Coronation, send them hooch3600@gmail.com. We'll put them up on the show next week. And everybody just have a tremendous, tremendous weekend. And remember,
have fun.
We say it each and every week, and I always will. As long as this show's going, remember that 5 Heart is all the heart you need. Minnie?
Go Big Red!
Go Big Red.